What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Show After Row, where I tell you guys exactly how I went after being at the Row Arena. Was like after I go to the Row Arena, I come back, update you guys on the process and everything over there. And obviously, as I've said before, because I finally got my shoes, I'm going to train a lot more. That's not one of my shoes, by the way. I don't know why that is there. Give me a second. Hold on. Oh boy, you can totally see my belly. Ah. I'm ashamed of that. Well, I am on a weight loss journey, so hopefully the progress will be seen as well. Today was obviously a training day, and obviously, I won't lie to y'all. Today was definitely one of those humbling days. We was having a little bit of bad weather on the way, like on the way there, and I kind of was on the fence about actually going because I don't really like the idea of driving through bad weather. Why does my hair look this way? I don't know. And so my brain just immediately went, don't go because it's going to rain. It's going to rain that badly all day today, scatter showers. And then another part of my brain was, do go so you can show that you actually do want to be there. So it was like, overcome my fear of driving in bad weather, go train for another day. And go train for another day outweighed that one. So I went. In the process, I was late. And in the process of me being late, it wasn't a good look. I'll say that. Today was a humbling experience because not only was I late, but obviously we had to do. It's like today was one of those days where I kind of have to remind myself that I'm not as good as I think I am. Oh God, hold on. It was one of those days where I kind of had to remind myself that I'm not as good as I think that I am. And honestly, I want y'all to understand, I don't think that I'm good. I don't think that I'm like the greatest ever to do this. I just thought that I could at least get the bare minimum down. I thought that I could get the basics down. You know what I'm saying? So today was a day where we kind of had to work on the basics and the fundamentals. And for long story short, I kind of sort of busted on almost everything a little bit. And I think, and this was like one of those moments where I just kind of had to, it was like one of those moments where I was messing up so much that I had to ask myself, wait, do I suck at this? You know, thinking about all those times where I was training in Georgia and being told that I was good. And, when I was yarding and being told that I was good. And then kind of coming to this and it wasn't that nobody told me that I sucked. That was one of the few good things about it. It wasn't like anybody told me that I was just terrible at it. It was just a sheer fact that I was just making so many mistakes, and it was just because of the fact that I was making so many mistakes, and it was it was one of those things where it was like if I think that I'm doing good at something, then I feel good about it. But if I think I'm doing bad at something that I thought that I was doing good in, it's like one mistake. I mean, I have the feet of clay is just falling down from underneath me, and everything that I thought that I had is just crumbling behind it. I'm just sitting there, just like the thought in my head was, "Am I bad at this? Do I suck at this? Like I can't believe this." um, and it's like I think what really kind of also what kind of killed me a little bit was like not only was I doing poorly, but it felt like I was the only one because I would see the other guys, the other beginner students, and they're just some of them just like their first time doing this stuff, and they're just knocking it out the park. And here I am just barely scraping by. And to top it all off, I'm already doing all this while also being late. So it's like I'm late, I'm busting on everything. It's just like I is like I think obviously the reason why I didn't like just walk out the class and have myself a good cry on the way out is because I love wrestling more than I hate myself for making mistakes. And also I'm trying to hate myself less, Like I really this is one, like I said, this is a humbling experience because like I said, I stayed and then I told myself, you know what? It's a bad day, not a bad life. You know what I'm saying? I don't suck at this. I'm not terrible at it. I'm not god awful at it. You know what I'm saying? I haven't injured anybody. You know, I haven't killed anyone, which surprisingly enough is very capable of happening. You know what I'm saying? It was one of those moments where I kind of had to just sort of I had to kind of just sort of like take a step back and realize I need to give myself some grace because nobody is telling me that I'm terrible. Nobody's telling me that I suck. Nobody is like I'm not getting laughed out. I'm not getting laughed out of class because I stumbled and made yet another mistake. I think, like looking back, I think I was just a little too hard on myself because of the fact that I was like, I thought, okay, I did this stuff back in 2006. I can at least get the basics down. And then, like looking back, it's like I gotta give myself some grace here. I haven't done this in a while. I, I'm a little bit bigger than I used to be. I clearly, I don't have a place to practice these moves at outside of that ring in there. So it's like it's like so I kind of have. It's not like I'm just surrounded by wrestling rings and can just go like do something whenever I feel like it. I have to practice. You know what I'm saying? And I'm a little out of practice. The whole idea though is that like I have to it's kind of like one of those moments where I just sort of have to sit back and tell myself I'm not terrible. I'm not awful. I made a couple of flubs today, but next time probably won't be so bad. I was feeling great. I was feeling great the last time I did it, and I'm gonna feel probably a lot better the next time I do it. But obviously, I'm gonna have days like this as well. And rather than tell myself that I'm the worst person on the planet for making a few mistakes, and kind of unlike, I also have to realize too that obviously the trainer was a little bit more tough today. It was a different trainer, so he's a lot more tougher than the other trainer is. So obviously there is going to be a bit of a expectation level that he's going to have. But it's just the sheer fact that I didn't like today. I can say I didn't injure anyone. I didn't cripple anyone. I didn't end anybody's life. You know what I'm saying? I made a couple of flubs. Nobody told me that I was terrible at it. Like my mistakes are mine to own, but they're not something for me to sort of like judge myself on forever. There's something for me to learn from. And I really need to start saying that more. I don't have to, I'm not my mistakes. My mistakes are just learning experiences. Like, I thought that I could do something, and I was out of practice. And ultimately, I did get better at it because I was just kind of going for it. But it was just the sheer fact that it was the moment where I just said to myself, one shot trick, let's go. And that wasn't the case here, you know? But everybody needs a low point, you know what I'm saying? A baseline, if you will. You know what I mean? Like, a baseline, a low point, kind of everybody got to have a starting point. And I'm going to just sort of say that today was my starting point. Obviously, the other day was like my first day back training, and I felt good. Today is my starting point. Now I know where my base is. Now I know what I need to work on. Now I know, what mistakes I need to clean up on. I guess I just needed to see myself say that. I'm not terrible. I don't suck. I'm not the worst person on the planet. I make mistakes. I'm human. You know what? That actually felt good. And I'm going to do better the next time I go there. Yeah. All right. I ain't gonna lie. I was actually depressed on the drive here. Like I was like, man, I'm terrible. I can't do jack. I suck at this. I was like, maybe I am getting old. Maybe I am. I was really like thinking that stuff, and then I realized, I don't have to think that way. I can, I'm not. Nobody else called me terrible. Nobody else said I sucked. I said that to myself, and I need to stop saying that. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and try to do a little bit of working out. I'm gonna go ahead and do a little bit of working out before I call it a night. As always, love, peace, and I hope to see you guys in the ring. I'm outie.